Bienvenidos a un nuevo evento. En esta oportunidad estamos haciéndolo junto con la Universidad Austral, naturalmente. Esta es la Escuela de Negocios de la Universidad Austral, el IAE, pero también junto a la Facultad de Comunicación. Así que bienvenidos a la Fundación Telefónica Movistar. Bienvenidos a este evento de retail. Vamos a hablar de retail, vamos a hablar de disrupción, vamos a hablar de transformación digital. Increíblemente hemos vuelto a algo analógico para que el audio hoy funcione, pero bueno, vamos a hablar de todo eso. Afortunadamente no me van a escuchar a mí nada más, van a escuchar expertos en ese tema, porque yo realmente del tema no conozco, pero tranquilos porque realmente estamos rodeados hoy de gente que conoce muchísimo de retail. Entonces, en principio, agradecer además de a la Fundación, a nuestros sponsors. Tenemos a Motorola, tenemos a... la opticanalidad y la centralidad del propósito, ¿fui bien? Están moldeando el futuro del sector. ¿Está bien? Vamos a contar con un programa enriquecedor, con la participación de expertos internacionales y también con gente del ecosistema de consumo y retail en América Latina. Así que yo soy muy aburrido, yo lo que les quiero pedir entonces es atención a un video que nos van a presentar que es súper exclusivo de parte de Philip Kotler. Dai, cuando quieras y podamos, arrancamos con el video, ¿sí?
I'm happy to be invited to talk about what's happening in retailing to the audience in Argentina. My first slide is simply my picture, which you don't need, but 4 books that I recently published. And I won't say much about it because any of them of interest to you, you can look them up. So let's go to the fact that marketing was very simple in the 1960s. The company would decide on the product's distinctive features because it needs to know what to advertise, and the price of the product, and where it could be found, the channels of distribution. And, of course, you had to compose the advertising messages and on the right media. And we called the whole job managing the marketing mix. That's the mix of tools. Of course, much has happened with the internet and the digital revolution and the AI, artificial intelligence. And we're not surprised that maybe we have expanded the tools of marketing. And I did that recently to 7 tools. Unfortunately, they don't all begin with P, the letter P. But the good news is that they use the 4 Ps plus 3 more things. Because in making a marketing plan, it's not enough to just say what the product is. How about the service that is going with the product? Like, can you return the product that we sent out to you? How will you pay or will we pay for the returning of the product? Here's how we could answer questions for you about the product if you go to us in service. Things like that. The third thing I would emphasize is the word brand itself, because you're selling more than a product. You respect what we're selling because it's a well-known brand. It has a brand standing and strength. And that has to be managed. You're going to manage the product, of course, making it available and so on, but you want to manage the brand work around the product. Now, besides price, which is always in the mix, we have to add incentives. Sometimes you have to say 2 for the price of 1, or make something special. Maybe a something that goes with you buying and paying that price. Incentives. And then we would just replace the word promotion with the word communication, which is a much larger role you're going to play as a marketer. You can promote in many different ways. So the communication system has to be used carefully and effectively. And then we end up with place in the old system, but we now call it distribution, because you're going to have not one channel for finding the product, but maybe a couple of channels. Maybe you have omni-channels. So all of that is just to make the tools more defined. Let's look back a little bit and recognize what store-based retailing was like in the beginning. You go into a grocery store and you wait for a clerk who's going to take your order. The clerk is standing behind a desk. All the products are behind the clerk, not accessible to me. And therefore, the answer is that I tell him I want the following, and he goes and gets it, puts it, assembles it, and so on. So the revolution that came about roughly in 1916 was to move to a store that had shelves and products on the shelves and prices of the products right there. And it was the job of the customer to walk around and choose to put those products in a basket that he or she will push to the clerk and pay for the things chosen. Today's internet poses a real problem for store-based retailing. Namely, the internet permits me actually to use e-commerce to sell, to take orders. Without my going to the store, I can take orders of what you want and ship what you want to you. And you'll, of course, pay me when they arrive or before they arrive. Which really means that we want to save the stores, or maybe we don't need stores. There's an argument to be made eventually that if everything could be shipped by being ordered to the destination, a store is an extra expense and not that necessary. The challenge that I want to describe is not only faced by grocery stores and supermarkets, but all retailers, auto dealerships, furniture stores, appliance stores, and so on. So let's look at this time just at food stores and supermarkets. Suppose I'm called in to suggest to a supermarket chain how it might improve the attraction of customers to the store. So one of the first things I would say is make sure your store is almost a theater. That the person is drawn to come in because the atmosphere is inviting from the outside and from the inside. And then from the outside, they're passing by, let's say, in a shopping mall, and they see a store. Is the store looking attractive from the outside? But inside, what happens? Sometimes I go inside a store and I find it quite very bland, uninteresting, no music or anything, with a clerk just waiting for someone, but not very interested in doing much business. What's the atmosphere like that you should design? What are you using in the way of colors and sounds, like music, touch? Because people want to often feel things. They want to feel the fruit in the supermarket to make sure that the apple or orange is firm and good and fresh. But smells too could be in the store, aromas. So what have you done to make the store whatever kind of store it is, a pleasure to visit. Now, in running any store, very important to have good employees who care about the customers and are helpful to the customers. It would be good if it's easy for a new customer to find out where the sought products are. Everyone has experienced walking down one aisle after another in search of where's the Coca-Cola, where are the napkins. So how do we help customers find more quickly the products they're interested in buying? What about using announcements more often with a loudspeaker system, telling customers maybe of special buys for that day only? There should be more than just one checkout line. There should be enough checkout service so customers don't have to lose time waiting to check out. In fact, the solution has been offered of self-checkout stations in addition to clerks running the checkouts. And you should go big in displaying items of interest that are special to the store, especially if the store, for example, might have some ethnic products, appealing to a rather big ethnic group that might be in the shopping neighborhood. And of course, people have to park their cars, and often it's hard to get parking space, which will lose a sale for this store, unless they have a generous area for parking, one that even allows them to get their fuel and park and be safe in coming to the store and leaving the store. So some questions that arise about pricing. So when should the supermarket change its prices in response to certain events and seasons? I guess at Christmas time, there will be some new products for sale, and they have to be priced again. But what if the period is one of recession? Probably the store should be paying more attention to cutting some prices than to raising some prices. On the other hand, if there are shortages of certain products, the store is tempted to raise the price because there aren't enough merchandise available. But how high do you raise the price during the shortage? Enough to cover your costs, that's pretty justified, or more than your higher cost, in which case you could be charged with exploiting the customers. So that pricing comes up. And the more basic question is employee wages. There's a temptation to always hire anyone you can find who will work for the lowest price you can pay or want to pay. The result is the workers will have less motivation and show less enthusiasm toward customers and turn over more often. It's my experience that supermarkets like one we have in the United States called Trader Joe or Costco and some others use a good job strategy. That's an interesting term we use when a store pays well to its employees. They pay higher wages and give more job training, and the store ends up with better employees and ends up earning higher profits in spite of paying higher wages. I would argue that not only run a business by the day, but to always regenerate the business when times have changed quite dramatically. One of my books is on the subject of regenerative marketing, basically. And another thing I would add is, how entrepreneurial are you? Is it enough just to sell the products that you now make? Have you systematized thinking about innovation and newer things and maybe even newer moves into adjacent markets nearby? Have you hired some people who, as busy as they are, also have a innovative capacity? Most people, maybe in the book Entrepreneurial Marketing, I make the point that everyone is so busy that you may need a few people who you don't want to be busy making the present work well, but more making a future for your business happen. So that would be entrepreneurial marketing. So I will conclude by saying that I hope I've said some things you can do that you had not noticed before.
Thank you, Professor Kotler. As always, you were very, very clear, and there are several questions to do, but I will focus in two main questions that some people sent to me, knowing that we were having this opportunity to meet you. The first one is retail and humanistic marketing.
Oh.
What could be the relationship between retail and humanistic marketing? Because within the 10 B principles that are included in this book on retail, written with Giuseppe, one of the principles is be human. So if you could tell something about that.
Well, we got so excited in general about being human. I guess it's the feeling of too often we live bureaucratically. We're in a bureaucracy. We do transactions because they must be done. And we aren't very human in that we don't relate as humans to humans as much as just get things done. So we invented something we call H2H marketing, human to human marketing, and have quite a book on that, H2H. And it's sort of being more open to people. I'm not asking you to be charming. I'm asking you to just recognize their needs as you're selling something, and how does your product really make their life better? Give some thought to that. Now, if you're selling a hammer or a screw, there's some things that don't matter to their well-being or their happiness in a big way. But of course, a car, if you're selling a car, you want to be excited as they are about the car you're trying to sell them and show how it will affect their lives and their relationships with other people and their efficiency and so on and so forth. So I guess I'm long-winded on the answer that try to be more human in your dealings, not only with the customers, but with the employees. We fail there. We got to be human to human with our employees. Even in retailing, the store I mentioned, one of the stores, they want their employees to be, it's a grocery store, to be stacking the shelves during the day of customers being in the store, not in the evening only after the store is closed. They want the employees to be smiling, if possible, and welcoming the customers as they help set products on the shelves and so on. And it works. It really, people make good comments about the employees of that business. So I guess H2H is my answer to your question, human to human marketing. Very happy to be with those people in the audience from Argentina and elsewhere possibly. to celebrate what is a picture of the English version of our book. Don't be scared about the size of it. It's got a lot of wonderful material, and I want to compliment Giuseppe Stigliano, my good friend and my co-author of the book, writing a book that is different and I hope better than the average book on retailing, giving you deeper insights and more broad insights into how to run your retail business. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor, and see you soon. We remain in touch.
I hope so.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.